Good morning, everybody. Good to see you all here. As you're all joining, let me make sure this chat box is set up nicely. Bum, bum, bum. Attendees can chat with me. Perfect. Right. So, good morning, good morning, good morning. If you could you just let me know that you can hear me all loud and clear? I'm hoping the mic's working today. It's been good fun recently. There should be a chat box there for you to be able to send stuff through. And let's have some fun. Where are you tuning in from today? Where are you watching from? I'm up in, I was going to say sunny. It's not really sunny today, sunny Leeds. It never really is. But I know looking at kind of the registration list and some of the names, people all over the world joining, which is awesome. People from Exeter, Coventry, Hertford, in Crewe, Leicester, Manchester. Okay, so lots of UK here today. Burton-on-Trent, there we go. Lovely. Lots of people from Manchester, actually, 3 or 4 of you. Amazing stuff in Worcester, Chester. Brilliant. So just to make sure that you're all in the right place, today we're going to be talking all around LinkedIn lead generation. Some of you, it might be the first workshop that you've ever attended of mine. If it is, just let me know by just putting like the first time. Let me know if this is the first time that you've joined me today. And some of you might have watched 2 or 3 of them before. Now, some of you might be even more than that. So every single one of my workshops is very different. And this one is very much a latest updated version as we move into, or fastly approaching Q2 of this year. I'll be talking to you all about the platform, what's working, what isn't, and more importantly, the stuff that makes the difference between just using the platform for like vanity metrics, like likes and comments and shares and saves, and actually making money. So my speciality isn't actually like LinkedIn. I am not a LinkedIn expert by any means. That is not what I'm all about. My business partner, Sam Raffling, is. She's one of our co-founders at Pipeline 44. And she's the LinkedIn expert in our company. My job today is to talk you through how to use this platform to generate leads and then sales at the end. Now, it looks like there's loads of you that it's the first time, which is brilliant. Now, I'm going to be asking you a little bit later on about how you found me, whether it was via LinkedIn or maybe via an email. We'll go into that as we go through. But LinkedIn is a platform which I've been using for 2 to 3 years now properly. I use every other social media platform out there to be able to gain attention and awareness of our brand. But today, what I'm going to be focusing on is just training you in on the stuff that you should be doing as a priority to be able to squeeze every little bit of opportunity that you can from this platform. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to beat around the bush any longer. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to hit straight into this pretty pink slide right here. Let me load the chat box up so I can see you. Just a few house rules just before we get into it. If you have any questions, if they're relevant, I will actually answer them as we go through. There is a Q&A section inside of Zoom for you to be able to use. If you ask questions in the chat, I may see them. The likelihood is that I won't because of the amount of conversation that goes on in here. So looking at the numbers right now, we have just approaching just over 70 of you online. That increases as we go. So you can imagine like the chat traffic gets quite high. Now, questions, there are none that are off limits. For me, it's about giving you all the information that you need to be able to succeed. Again, this is a free workshop and we're really going to be focusing in on this term social selling and more importantly, generating revenue, like I said right at the beginning. So I have 3 specific objectives for today. Number 1 is to give you like as much advice and guidance and information as I can. We've got around about an hour. Sometimes it goes just slightly longer. And so like I try to cram in as much as I can. I try to slow the speed that I speak at down because I speak naturally at like 200 miles an hour. So what I'm going to try and do is deliberately slow myself down, but it means that I can go into as much detail as I can throughout this time frame as well. At the end, I'm going to be introducing you to how you can work with us. So there's a short 10-minute section at the end talking to you about our academy and how that works. And like I said, like I'm here to help you as much as I possibly can. So please ask away, don't hold back, fire them in, and we'll work together by the end to get through them. Now, like I said at the beginning, every single one of my presentations is different. They're all got more content in or different topics or different angles. I've ran stuff on webinars before. I've ran stuff on Instagram before. Now it's on LinkedIn and lead gen specifically. So what I'd like to do is just tailor make this, right? So it's bespoke to you. So what I'd love to know in the chat box for me, could you just let me know what it is that you specifically do? Like, are you a business owner? And if you are, what sort of business do you run? Are you in sales? Are you in recruitment? Are you a coach? Like, what is it that you do? For me, that information just allows me to make sure that if we have like a familiar type of person, like there's a number of you on here, I can give those examples more than others. So it looks like I've got a few different coaches on. We've got accountant, we've got a social media manager, amazing, social relationship coach, leadership speaker, marketing at tech firm, protection insurance. Okay, good. Own a small business, manufacturer, custom made neon signs, amazing, Catherine. A few more coaches coming through as well. A couple more social media managers, brilliant. And then if there was like one thing that you were wanting to get out of today, like the default answer is LinkedIn and how to get more leads on it, right? But what I'd like you to think about is like a certain thing within LinkedIn that you might want more information on. Like, is it content? Is it how to message properly? Is it how to get your profile right? Is it how to like build an email list or build an audience? Like, what are the things that you want to get out of today? Because I think I've got pretty much it all covered, but there might be something that you say on here that actually we might want to just add in at the end potentially. So got people saying building a profile, we've got messaging and building an audience, getting leads, great, content, fine, providing content, confidence in content, cool. How to measure your success with LinkedIn. Okay, I'll add that bit at the end, like measurements, because there's a few different ways. And we've got outreach as well. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Appreciate it a lot. So the information that's been compiled from like for today's presentation has been done like from work that we've been doing over the last 2 years now. It says 18 months there. It's around about 2 years now. Now, at the end, you'll realize why we speak to so many businesses and how we speak with so many businesses. But we've now spoken with over 1,400 different businesses on a 30-minute to an hour call, right? So we're doing a lot of consulting, a lot of strategy work, and a lot of it we actually do for free. And the reason why we did that at the beginning so heavily was to gain market intelligence, to gain the information as to what's working and what isn't. And when we kind of did the analysis over it, what we realized was that there were 5 key reasons why people fail on this platform, but also all the other social media platforms as well. People use them and they like using them, or they know that they need to, but actually are not getting the results, which is basically like revenue out the back end of their activity. Okay, now this stuff as we move through, what I want you to just think about is like, do any of these relate to you? And if they do, I want you just to let me know, like just to make sure no one can see your answers, it's just me, but just to let me know kind of like where you're at right now. And if we're kind of still hitting the mark with these, because like even just last month, there was over 40 different businesses that I spoke with, and these still all hit home really strongly. So number one is that the message that you're putting out there, if you're not getting results on this platform right now, this could be one of the key reasons that the message that you're putting out there doesn't stand out in today's market. So maybe the stuff that you're putting out there right now is kind of similar to what you're putting out like a year or 2 years ago. I know back when like COVID was around, people would change their message. So everything was like all around how you can do it at home, how you can make money from your comfort of your own home. That was a message that people were using. It's actually one that our customers were using. And I realized that when I was watching like their workshops and looking at their content, they hadn't changed their message. They were still talking about the same thing 2 years later. So number one, one of the biggest reasons is that the message isn't relevant and doesn't stand out anymore. Number two is actually sometimes like a hard truth to admit. Now, this was one that I had to admit right at the beginning of my own business journey, which I'll like explain to you as we go through with all of this. Can I just double check? Can you all still hear me okay? Matt's just mentioned that he can't hear me. Can you just let me know if I'm still coming in loud and clear? He's back. We all good? We all good? Fantastic. That's fantastic news. So number two is that, again, you're just not worth following in the first place. And what happens is that you're using these platforms. And actually, if you think about it, when you think of social media, there may be 1, 2, or 3 people that you look at and you see them every single day online and you like their content and you really enjoy following them. What I want you to think about is, are you one of those people? And if not, what changes can you make to become one of those people? Because if you're remembering them, they're doing something right. And what those things are things that you need to take inspiration from and do the same to stop yourself from blending in. So number two is that you're not worth following in the first place. Number three is that, and this is a typical one, right? You know you're good at what you do, whether you're in social media, marketing, recruitment, you're a coach, whatever. You're really good at what you do. You believe that. However, you just don't have enough people to speak to. Your audience isn't big enough. And you feel that if you just knew how to build a following, things would work for you. That's a big reason why people fail, is that their audiences aren't big enough, or they're not filled with the right type of people. Number 4 is the one that I find like very, very sexy. You probably won't. However, by the end of today, I'm hoping that you will agree with me with this. But it's the fact that you're doing all of this activity, but you don't have a process in place that naturally nurtures somebody, like your ideal client, from someone that doesn't know who you are right now, through to the point where they're working with you and they become a referral partner. You need to have a process in place if you want this stuff to consistently work for you. And what I've noticed with lots of businesses is that actually a lot of their stuff is just, if I just remain active, like eventually it will happen. What I want to do today is remove that from your mindset and switch it up. So you put something in place which allows it to happen consistently. So you know if you do the work, you're going to get the results at the back end. And then number 5 is that the strategy that you've got, whether you've got one or maybe you think that you've got one and it's not quite right, is based on the more that you do, the more results you'll get. And it's based on the fact that you're hoping somebody either responds to a message or maybe an inbound lead comes in and says, hey, I want to work with you. And you want more of those coming in. Now, before I move on, out of 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, if you were going to pick one out of those which hits home the most to you, which one would it be? Because today I'm covering all of these, but there might be ones again which you might want to go into in a bit more detail. So we've got lots of 3s piling in. So bigger building an audience, call 3, 4, and 5, which is process. Okay. Lots of 4. So Steve's a 4, Catherine's a 4, Dave's a 2, Bryony's a 2, Tim's a 4, Freddie's a 3. Okay, so if I spend lots of time on like process and building audiences, that's going to be like a big thing for people today. Okay, great. Perfect. Thank you very much. Now, what you can see here is the framework of which we teach people, or within our agency. So Pipeline 44, we have a training part to our business. We also have an agency part to our business. Both services deliver this process. Now, what most people think LinkedIn is, and I'm going to talk to you a lot more about this today, is this connection tile here. Most people think that if they just use the platform without anything else in place, it will work. The reality is this is actually why people are failing. And what we like to do, and this is what I'm going to do with you throughout this workshop today, is make sure that we go back into clarity and get really, really clear on your product, on your offer, and on your message. So how are you going to start standing out? Can't build an audience, and you definitely can't build a process if you don't understand what message is going to pull people into it all. So we're going to be talking to you about how can you stand out in this market. We're then going to move into connection. So then with this activity, like how do you make it better? Like if you're going to be using the platform, what parts of it are best to be used right now? And what stuff can you stop doing? Where should your time be going to actually have the biggest effect on audience growth and revenue generation? Where do you need to do and what do you need to do? So I'm going to be talking to you about part 2 is all about LinkedIn activity. And then part 3 then is around actually turning that activity into money. Okay. Now, those 3 sections are there. You can see that there are 3 more, right? There's control and there's close and there's content. Content we touch upon in this, but not in actually a huge amount of detail, because believe it or not, it's not the thing that makes the biggest difference. Most people think that it's their posting that's holding them back. The reality is that it's not. And so what I'm going to touch upon today is, yes, some content ideas for you to put out there, but more importantly, the stuff that you need and actually the stuff that you need to do on this platform to squeeze the most out of it. Now, before I get into this, I don't spend much time talking about me because in reality, I know you don't really care too much, right? You're just here for the information. However, just so you know that I'm not just some Tom, Dick or Harry off the street, I'm not going to read that out for you there. It's there for you to see, right? My audience like growth is there. I've made money online, like all the testimonials are online, the case studies are there. But actually, more importantly, the activity that I'm going to be talking to you about today, so the process and also the way that we use LinkedIn, all you've got to do is check out my profile to see that I'm living and breathing this stuff. This isn't information that's 2 or 3 years old. I'm doing this now. Like you're probably here today through the basis of the activity that I've been doing on this platform. And the reality again, and the truth of it all is that nothing I'm going to teach you today is rocket science or potentially stuff that you don't already know. My job is to flick a switch to get you to remember what's important when it comes to this stuff. And I think the place to start is really why you should be focusing on LinkedIn at all in the first place. There are so many social media platforms out there, right? And let me know which ones you're using, by the way, and which one's your favorite other than LinkedIn. So I know LinkedIn, you're all LinkedIn lovers, right? What other platforms do you use? I'd be interested to hear. But like, when it comes to it, I think it's important, like, for me to explain why I spend so much time on this platform when, like, here it is. If you go and search my name on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, on podcasting, everywhere else, right? Instagram, I've got a following of over 30,000 people. I get more business off LinkedIn with a 14,000 person following than I do on Instagram. I reach 15 times more people with my content on LinkedIn than I do on Instagram. Now, there are significant reasons as to why that is, because there's a certain content type that I like to create. However, like, when you start to understand the detail behind this, you can then make the decisions of what platforms you want to spend more time on. And the reasons why I've chosen LinkedIn right now, bearing in mind it wasn't my platform of choice 2.5 years ago, are for these specific things. Number one is that it gives you the ability to build a targeted audience, like, easily and at speed, right? So we all know that being known is one of the key components to social media success, right? Like, the more people that know who you are and what you do, the more opportunity you're going to get. Like, most people, like, know they are good at what they do, but don't have enough leads. And this is just simply because people do not know whether they're connected to you right now, or they're sitting, like, in an unknown space where you've just not reached out to them yet, like, how great you are at what you do. And like, the proof, right, of all of this is in the pudding, right? You will probably get, and again, let me know if this is true for you or not, the majority of your business through word of mouth referrals. Let me know if that's true. Just give me a yes if that's true. The majority of business you get is through word of mouth referrals. That is because your customers know how great you are at what you do. So the reality is, to get more of that, you just need more people to know how great you are at what you do. And LinkedIn is a tool for you to be able to do that when you understand what you need to say and how you need to say it. Because you can go out there and you can search for every single job title that you want. You can search in specific locations. You can search for specific industries. You can go into groups of other people that have got your customers sitting there as attendees and poach them, right? This is just tactics of ways to build an audience. And if you think of every other platform out there, I've only got 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, right? I've had to beg, like, fight tooth and nail to be able to get to 1,000 subscribers. It has been a graft. LinkedIn, I can go 1,000 in a month. Like, this is just the reality of this platform. Instagram, if you go and follow someone, that doesn't mean they're going to follow you back. On Facebook, you only have 5,000 friends that you can add in. I've maxed that out now, so I can't build my audience any further. I have to rely on a Facebook page, but Facebook pages have been dead since 2012. So you have no opportunity to be able to build an audience in the way that LinkedIn gives you the ability to do it, okay? The second reason is it gives you the ability to build credibility because of the organic reach the platform gives you. Now, don't get me wrong, if you'd have been posting a year ago, you would have seen better results than what you're seeing today. However, the impressions and the ability to reach people because of the way that this algorithm pushes your content is bigger and better than it's ever been. And there's still here when you compare it to every other platform that's out there. Whether it's TikTok or Instagram, which would probably be the equivalent in terms of organic reach right now, the difference maker is the fact that when it comes to B2B and getting in front of other businesses, and more importantly, decision makers, you can target and get your content in front of the right people. With TikTok, right, and with Instagram Reels, it's short form video content. And if you look at the stuff that's in your newsfeed, don't get me wrong, you can get millions of views. Like, I love the platforms. I think they're great. They give you great opportunity, but they don't give you the targeted opportunity that you need. It's based on the ability for you to go viral. So it's not saying that you shouldn't use those platforms. It's about using them in combination with a place for you to be able to grow a targeted audience. This one's quite interesting. I never really used to spend that much time on LinkedIn. It used to be a platform that, like, I maybe go on first thing in the morning. But what I've noticed through, like, speaking to all these people over time is that we're spending more time on this platform, like, more than, like, ever before. I'm now using LinkedIn, like, in the evenings. I don't know if you are, like, I don't know if you use LinkedIn at night. I never used to log on, but actually where I used to go onto Instagram, and actually I have this, like, social media cycle where, like, I go onto Instagram, then I'll go onto TikTok, then I go onto LinkedIn, and then, like, I go on this, like, ever-ending cycle. I put my phone down and then I pick it back up again 10 minutes later and do the exact same bloody thing. But LinkedIn never used to be in that app cycle. Like it is now, it's there. So therefore, there's more eyeballs going in on it. And I know lots of you are doing the exact same thing as you're all agreeing in the comments, right? There's opportunity with that. And what I need you to understand is the way that you can create content to be able to stand out. And when people talk about getting like inbound requests, so like we get probably between mine and Sam's profiles, probably 1 to 2 inbound requests, probably every other day. So maybe like 5 to 10 a week. Now that's because we've been like obviously using these platforms, and we've become known in our spaces over time. But that only happens when you implement the stuff that I'm going to talk to you about today. And actually, it's really not that difficult. It's just putting it into practice, having a testing mindset, and then going after it and not giving it up when you've got the right processes in place. And that word process is something that's linked to this final key reason. I've not seen a platform provide that many lead generation and business generation tools than what LinkedIn does. There isn't anything. Instagram's got shopping, TikTok's got shopping, right? So it's like consumer-led purchasing options, right? It gives you those business tools. LinkedIn really helps us as service-based business owners, right? Like it really does in terms of how to interact and build relationships with prospects. Like most people don't even know that these tools are there, and they're free to use. Like one of the key ones that we use is LinkedIn events. So I'm going to talk to you about those in a second, right? But when you've picked your own campaign type, so I talked to you about this right at the end of today, but we talk about 7 campaign types that you can run on LinkedIn. If you don't have a campaign-led approach using this platform, you're already falling behind. Like you need one in place. And we'll talk to you about them right at the end as to what those campaigns are. But like we run an event campaign, right? That's one of the campaigns that we run out of the 7. And like LinkedIn events is a tool which people like you are able to use. Like you most likely, out of interest actually, who came to this event and registered off the back of a LinkedIn event invite? Like I'm genuinely interested. And before you pile in, I'm going to switch it to everyone. So you should now be able to chat with everyone, just so everyone can see this, right? Who came here via a LinkedIn event? Type in LinkedIn event if you came in by LinkedIn event, and who came here through email. Like I'm genuinely interested to know this. You're all sending it to hosts and panelists, which is fine. There should be a way for you to change it to everyone if you can, just so you can see. But like lots of people are saying LinkedIn events, like the chat's still the same. Like if we go LinkedIn event, email. There's more coming in. If we go LinkedIn event, I did in last webinar, now through email coming through. So it's like a 50-50 split pretty much, right? LinkedIn events are free, right? Like they're completely free to use. And so if you have the ability to run one, you have the opportunity to be able to get in front of absolutely like thousands and thousands of people. And people don't even know about it. Like all I got to do is load up a LinkedIn event, set it up properly, connect it to Zoom, put my Zoom registration link in. I filter by industry. I scroll down for like 2 minutes to load up my 1,000 people for the week that I can invite. You can invite 1,000 people a week to your LinkedIn event. And from there, I get normally around about a 5 to 10% conversion of the people that I invite saying yes. Like over the last, switch that back now, over the last like, year and a half of doing this, we've done over 8,000 leads for free. Now, I used to run Facebook ads. I don't run them anymore because it just got a little bit too expensive. And I need to get some time back to focus in on the creative, because the creative is the biggest thing when it comes to paid advertising. And I've not had the time to be able to do it. Now, to get 8,000 leads, we need around about £33,600, about £4.20 a lead. And that was cheap back then. The reason I stopped using it was because it got to a point where it was like £12 to £13 a lead. And I'm like, well, why would I spend my time doing that, spending money for this stuff, when I can actually target and invite people to an event which has got a specific conversion statistic that I can keep tracking month in, month out? Sam ran one back in December and got this is back in 2021 actually. Like if you look at the one today for this one, I think it was like 460 people like have said yes to the LinkedIn event. Now, don't get me wrong, not everybody comes to the webinar, but actually around 10% of people do. And like when we're looking at this at the moment, there's so much opportunity here to do this for free without spending a penny. Like Charlie's actually put in the chat here. Thanks for this, Charlie. This is good. Like you've seen lower cost per leads on Facebook at the moment. I'd love to have a conversation with you about that. Like £1.20 a lead is class, right? But again, it's still a cost. This doesn't cost anything. Like, it costs a little bit of time, but like, I do this first thing in the morning when I wake up. Like, it takes me 5 minutes. Do you know what? 5 minutes is probably exaggerating it. And I don't even need to look at it. It's just hitting the numbers time and time again. And what it means is that, like, depending on how many people stay on here live come the end, we will naturally get every single time a 10% conversion, like minimum. We've been running these workshops and getting like a 30 to 40% conversion over the last few months, because what we're doing, the social proof that's around us, they work. So when you get that in place, it will work for you as well. But it's a minimum of 10%. And so we know that if we can just keep the invites going, keep building the audiences, which I'm going to talk to you about in a bit, keep building that audience at speed, suddenly you have opportunity. And so LinkedIn is a platform which, if you're not taking advantage of right now, there is huge, huge, huge potential. Now, if anyone's got any questions, I can see in the Q&A, there's a few come up here. There's people, will there be a recording afterwards? Yes, I will get a recording out. It won't be like, it'll be probably like in a week or so, though, just so you know, just because of timings and stuff. Yeah, of course, there's no actual questions in there at the moment, which is fine. So I basically just need a little bit of a sip of a drink. So before I do that, who's ready for part one? Has that been helpful so far? Who's ready for part one? We dive into some clarity work. It's a couple of people. That's fine. That's fine. I'll just do it for you lot. So I'll mute everyone else. No, I'm joking. Good stuff. Fantastic. Okay, finding the right message, staying relevant, and positioning yourself as a true authority in your space. I told you, right? Actually, no, I didn't tell you. I'm known for being quite blunt. Okay, so some of you may have seen that I launched a newsletter recently called Straight to the Point. I have a Straight to the Point podcast. I'm known for blunt advice. I don't ever mean to offend anyone with anything that I say. What I'm trying to do is be really honest with what's working and what isn't. So what I've noticed, okay, speaking to that many people over time, is that you normally, if you're not seeing opportunity on LinkedIn right now, you're falling into one of two categories. Number one is the preacher category, and number two is the ghost category. Now, again, I'm not expecting you to pile into the chat to tell me which one you think you are right now, but let me explain how it works. The preacher category is that you're out there putting out information. Spew's a bit of a harsh word. I don't really mean spewing, but like, you're putting out information that you even creating it don't really care about it that much. You're doing it because you know you need to post something. Or you might be putting out like educational type content, in-depth content, really wordy stuff, and no one's really engaging with it. And that tends to be because you've not earned the right with your audience yet to be able to talk about that stuff and get engagement. If you think about someone that you follow online, so someone that I follow online is a guy called Daniel Priestley. Some of you might have heard of Daniel, but Daniel could put out in-depth written, you know, like you see on LinkedIn, some people that break it up by paragraphs, like little bullet, like sentence by sentence by sentence. There's space in there, right? Like as we go through with the way they lay out their content, they make it really pretty and really neat, like stuff that we like. And there's some people like Daniel that can write just lengthy paragraphs. And because he's written it, we know it's going to be good and we read it, right? Like they've earned the right to put out that content and earned the right for the attention, okay, as we go through. Now, that's the first type of person that's out there that's trying, but yet just doesn't have like the audience respect right now, okay? And if you can admit to yourself you're a preacher, that's okay. Like that's like totally fine. Like it's actually good. It's good to be self-aware about this stuff. I was that. I was like Mr. Billy Big. I hope there's no kids around. I'm not going to swear. No, I'm not going to do it. But like I was Mr. Billy Big, right? You can fill in the expletive that's there. Like talking and pretending that people actually gave like about what I was saying. And actually, in reality, they didn't. And therefore, I was wasting my time. The second type of person is a ghost. Now, a ghost is someone that, again, may actually be showing up online, but they don't put their face out there because they don't really know what to do. And they don't feel confident putting their stuff out there. Like they don't do video content because they don't know what to say. They don't want to embarrass themselves. I was this person as well, by the way. I've trained to be able to speak like this. But like they don't put themselves out there. And actually, if they do, it's like the 10, 20% versions of themselves. Like when I speak to people on Zoom, and again, we have lots of conversations on Zoom, right? Like I get to see like how passionate people are, like how much they care about what they do and how good they are. Like I get it on a one-to-one conversation. But all I have to do is load up their social media profiles. And actually, it doesn't show that whatsoever. It tends to show like not the worst version of themselves by any means, but by far not their best. And so what I'd love to hear from you, if you could for me, and I know this is interactive, it's meant to be, but if you were going to pick where you're at, you could be in the middle, which is fine. Would you say you're in the preacher camp? There's a few people have already said they're in the preacher camp, which is cool. Or are you in the ghost camp? Like, are you someone that really wants to learn how to get going? Like, if you're a coach or a consultant, you tend to be a preacher. And that tends to be a big thing, but actually both's coming out here. Ghost for sure, lots of ghosts coming in. The ghosts have woken up, they come out of hiding, which is brilliant. That's cool, amazing stuff. So what I want to teach you today is how to overcome that, okay? And what ends up happening is you end up missing out on opportunities to people that, like, in the worst sense, you lose it to people that you know aren't actually as good as you, like to your competition. You see people online and you won't admit it to anyone else, but maybe like your best friends and stuff, but like you're jealous a little bit. Like, for God's sake, why are they getting all this attention and I'm not? I know I'm better than them. And you end up getting like really riled up with it. So you try harder and it doesn't work. You have the opposite effect. I'm talking to you because it's like my own version of therapy, this, talking about what I've been through, right? And like, this is actually the truth. Someone's asked for some case studies. There's some stories coming up in a second, literally the next 2 slides, right? Like, when I first started, this is what I had to do. These are the steps. If you haven't got a notepad out now, get one out now. These are the steps that I did. These are what I went through. I had to take time to make sure that I was a specialist in what I did. When I first started in business, like, I didn't have any experience. It was a property company originally. Then I started an Instagram agency after that. That was how my businesses kind of formed. I had no expertise. I had to learn it, right? I had to study it. I had to really look at, like, really in depth in my knowledge and almost do that hard graft to make sure that what I was talking about actually worked. I had to then go on to like YouTube and stuff on the right hand side. This is what I did when I launched my YouTube channel. And I was like, well, what is everyone else doing? And also, like, what is I can't remember what book I read this in, but they talk about unfair advantages. So it's like, what is your unfair advantage? Now, my unfair advantage at the time, right, was that I was young, ambitious, hungry, and I was really passionate about what I did. Like, I didn't have any other advantages. It was just the fact that I was a young person getting into property. That was my unfair advantage compared to lots of other people, because there weren't many young people doing it than I was. So that was what my unfair advantage was. What I want you to do is think about what's yours. On Instagram, like when I started the Instagram agency, my unfair advantages was that I knew how to build followings quicker than anyone else. Like, we were proving it day in, day out. And that was absolutely critical to everything that we did. If I didn't have the results of building audiences, like getting to 10,000 followers in 6 months, if I didn't have that, my business wouldn't have grown. I tapped into it and I kept talking about it and kept talking about it and kept talking about it. That was my unfair advantage, and it made me different to everyone else. What you need to think about is what makes you different. Where can you start to separate yourself and do something differently to stand out online? Where are the gaps in your space? And this is the thing that we spend lots of time with people doing. And again, there's a few stories I'm going to share with you in terms of today of how it works. But it's important that you know that everyone's got their own advantages. You just need to take the time to think about what they are. And with all of the stuff that we've been going through today, right? Like, I spend lots of time in what we call clarity sessions. Now, clarity sessions, if anyone's interested for them, I'm not selling these today. But we do them for £2,500. And what I basically do is come and do what you can see here. Like, I come and spend time with people. I do this online and offline. And we basically map out your whole brand and how we're going to take it to market. Now, on the left-hand side there is a guy called Sam Spencer sitting down. And he works for a company called Aspire 84. Well, he works for Aspire Property Group. We launched in 2020 the Aspire 84 training program together. Now, I did some consulting. We did a clarity session. And then with Jamie and Dan, we built that out. And I've done this with so many different businesses now that the process is the exact same. Sometimes you just need someone to sit down and go through this with you. But I've probably done in my time now over probably 100 of these sessions. They're 3 hours long. They're in depth and we hammer home. But what I basically do is take people through some steps. And this is what we did with Jamie, Sam, and Dan. Now, the first thing that we did is to work out, and this is the stuff that you need to do as well. Everyone needs to do this, get really clear on this stuff, is like work out the best way to position your product, offer, and your message. So with Jamie, he wanted to launch a property training program. Now, there are hundreds of property training programs out there, and they normally run them over 2 or 3 days. Okay, that's the way that the industry works. I know this because I've been through their sales funnels and I've bought products from these training companies. And so we sat down and went, right, what do people actually need to go through to be able to get the result of their first deal? So we packaged up an offer, which was an 84-day training program, handheld every single day as you go through it, with Zoom accountability throughout. And the offer was if you didn't have a deal in 90 days, you'd get free mentoring until you did. That was the offer. And we took a message to market, which disrupted the whole of the property industry space. So Jamie built out a YouTube channel, and you can see his LinkedIn following there is not small now. 12,000 followers it is on that screenshot. It's probably higher now. But we launched a content strategy, which basically helped him stand out. So we looked at the gaps in the property space market. We realized Jamie's unfair advantage was that he had a big property company, right? He had a very, very good talent for speaking, he trained on speaking. So we're like, right, let's tap into that. And we plotted out a way to build his audience at speed. We went through an exercise of looking at all the YouTube channels, all the podcasts, all the Facebook groups, all the networking events that we could get him out in front of. We went, right, we're going to allocate certain time to be able to hit these objectives. And then we're also going to look at an organic strategy on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram to be able to drive even more traffic to it. We then turned on Facebook advertising after that as well. It took a lot of time to do this, right? Probably I say a lot of time, an hour and a half to 2 hours, just to really work out what his audience needed. Now, I would have the advantage of being a customer as well as somebody that was consulting from a marketing point of view. So I identified really in that session, what I would have wanted to hear and need to be able to achieve the target that I wanted to achieve. And what we took was that message and we started to put it out there. All you got to do is go and search Jamie online to find him. And then we mapped out a sales process that would allow us to monitor what was working and what wasn't. Jamie ended up making, he's now made over £10 million when it comes to his training program. He's done better than I ever have in this space, right? He's absolutely killed it. But within the first year, we did 1.6 million quid, right? So that's one end of the spectrum. If you've got the unfair advantages that he had, you can take it to that direction. Now, another person is Sasha. Now, Sasha hasn't got the unfair advantages that Jamie has, but she has her own, right, in the way that she does things. And what we did was, Sasha was a virtual assistant. She was positioned in the market as a VA that did administration duties. And I was working with Sasha on a one-to-one basis. I was her client, I was paying her to be my personal assistant. So I knew what made her special, right? I'd understood it. I'd spent enough time with her to be able to work out. She was talented at certain things of management, very, very good at building relationships. And she was really easily likable, but her packages were just totally wrong because she was charging me by the hour and it just didn't work. So what we did was we created a plan which repackaged her products and services. So we spent half an hour talking about them. We switched her from an hourly rate to a monthly retainer. And then we built out her audiences again. So I looked at all the people that I could introduce her to. And she went into different networking groups. She looked at LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, we looked at them all. Because although we specialize and teach LinkedIn, we teach on them all, we give advice on them all. And we started to work out where she could spend time. So she started speaking, she started networking, she started direct messaging properly. And we mapped out an activity plan. So content, network building, getting out there to get her that brand exposure. The important thing to note with all of this is that the work that you do on LinkedIn isn't enough. You need to tie LinkedIn up with a part of a process, which I'm going to share with you in a second, that allows traffic to build and the right traffic to be able to be qualified through to a sale. What most people do is that they build that traffic and don't qualify or disqualify and promote to it. And what happens is that if you do that too early, people push you away and you end up missing out on opportunity. So we mapped out her process. And in just 6 weeks, we looked at all of wherever she showed up online, we put it into place. And within 6 weeks, I got that message through. This stuff is not difficult. It is genuinely really, really simple. But just sometimes you need someone just to take an overarching view of what you're doing to be able to highlight what it is that you're doing well, what you need to change and how you can take advantage. And at the end of this session, I'm going to be giving you that chance to speak with me over the next few days. 30 minutes, we're going to talk through the message that's going to grab attention. We'll look at your offers, and how relevant they are to the market right now. We'll look at your current positioning and look at a potential plan for you to be able to work through. Now, I'm going to be offering 15 of them. There's a number of you on here today, but if you want one of those, just put call, just put CALL, call in the chat. And what I'll do is I'll get one of my team just to take your name down, just to make sure that you get the link at the end. So if you drop off, and then I can get it over to you. So just keep those call things coming through. There'll be more than 15. I know there will be. So when you get the link, just book it in. If there's a slot, I have no control over them. It's on my Calendly link. Just book it in and we can talk to you from that. So some top tips on clarity for you before we move on to part number 2. The big thing really is to spend some time doing some research and have that conversation. Like, I'll help you with it, right? I'm more than happy to spend my time helping you with it. But if we identify what it is, you've got to take advantage of it. There's no point doing the research and then doing nothing about it. You've got to take advantage and actually do the work. Spend some time, just like I said with Jamie did, like what I did with him, note down where your ideal clients are spending their time and get clear on it. Like, craft that message is going to talk directly to them. Like, think about all the mistakes that your ideal clients are making, all the phrases that they come up with when they're ringing you on the phone. What do they say to you, which you can note down and start creating content around, or start creating workshops around, start creating emails around. This third point is where I spend lots of my time. Everything that I say in this presentation, I've gone through and said, like, why should people care about this? If I can't come up with a reason, I need to remove it. I'm wasting people's time. So everything that I say, content, messaging, webinars, emails, phone calls, I'm automatically like, do people care about it? Should they care about it? If so, why should they care? Great. Make sure that I say that when I'm delivering it so people listen. The art of communication is actually what most people struggle with when it comes to this stuff. So answering that question with the work that you do is a great way to be able to stay ahead of everyone else. When it comes to becoming someone worth following, a lot of time, believe it or not, I spend helping people inside of Slack. And also we do like weekly mentoring calls as part of the academy, but actually giving people the confidence to understand how good they are, what they do. A lot of the stuff that we do is mindset. Like, most people don't believe there's someone worth following, or if they do, they struggle to put it out there in fear of being judged. So lots of the stuff that we do is helping people overcome that, to believe that they are worth it and get themselves out there. And I do that by allowing people to be open to change. Like, I get them to admit it, like we're going to have to change. And we're going to have to change quite regularly. Like, every quarter, we're going to be reviewing the message, because if I kept saying the same things now that I was saying a year ago and didn't stay relevant, I'd fall behind. Now, if you've not changed up your messaging, that's probably what's happened to you. And therefore, you just need to spend a bit of time going through it. Okay. So that's part 1. Has part 1 made sense? Has it been useful? If you've got any questions, please put it in the Q&A box for me. Now, part 2 is all around this LinkedIn activity, right? So it's about network building, content prospecting, all those sorts of things. But just before I move on, just please do let me know. If that's been useful, just let me know. If you've got any questions, put it in the Q&A. Good stuff. Fantastic. Okay, part 2, connection. How to connect your LinkedIn activity with sales opportunities. There's 3 parts to this: network building, content, and prospecting. Network building, you should know this by now. I shouldn't have to spend that much time on this section at all. If you're not network building every day, you're missing out on opportunity. If you're not being warned by LinkedIn every day for getting too close to your activity limit, you need kicking, right? You can't do this on any other platform. Find your ideal clients, right, and get out there and do it. Just by network building and posting content that's actually interesting, like, I've built my following up, and it's nothing massive, right? It's not like something to shout about. People have built followings quicker than me, but like from 5,000 connections to 14,000 in 10 months. It's just under 10,000 connections in 12 months. And it's not even hard. It's just clicking buttons. Like, if you keep maxing out your limits every day, you're going to compound over and over again. But the thing to think about with network building is who. Like, a top tip I will give you is, I don't send messages to my within a connection request. I don't send a message. Now, some people do, and that's fine, but I just personally don't. What I instead do with that time is quickly click into their profile and just see if in the last 7 days they've engaged with anything online. Now, you click into their profile, click see all activity, and you'll be able to see if they've engaged with anything. I want to connect with people that are using this platform. Otherwise, I'd rather give that connection request to someone else. So again, it takes me probably like 5 to 10 seconds longer to send a connection. However, it increases my chance of acceptance because that person's using the platform. And it's little things like that will help your audience grow quicker just by taking that little bit of extra care. And when it comes to your ideal client, like LinkedIn gives you that ability to search. And this is basic stuff, right? It's here for you to be able to work through. There's loads of videos out there on this. But take a look at like who you're trying to connect with, like what jobs do they have? Do they have an interest in the subject? So when I spoke in a property group the other day, like they're looking for raising finance and investors, right? So I said, look, like who is your ideal investor? Do they have an interest in property, right? Like we're just asking basic questions. If you're in marketing, do the person that you're looking to connect with have an interest in social media? Do they have an interest in something else? Like, are they spending time in groups, or are they spending times on YouTube? Are they spending time on certain people's profiles? Are they commenting? Are they engaging? Like, how can you get in contact with them? One of the exercises that I get everyone to do every single time is to write down who are all the influencers in your space. Who are the people that have got like 50 to 100,000 followers, that have got your ideal clients commenting on their content? Go in and use the comment section to go out there and connect with people. They're active users, right? They're on the platform, and you can use the content to be able to find them, to be able to get them into your network. 30 to 50 requests a day, like just do it. It's not hard. Like if I can do it with, and I know we're all busy, right? But I'm busy as well. And if I can do it, you 100% can. It's just whether you see it as a priority or not. For me, lead generation in my business is what allows it to grow. This is the beginning part to that process. So network building, really important. Second stage is content. So again, when you look at this stuff, it's really important. You can read what Donna said on the right-hand side there from top to bottom whilst you're listening to me. Okay, now, most people, like I said at the beginning, post information that people just aren't interested in. And they forget the most important rule as to why we engage with things. And that is really because we're normally emotionally connected to something. Okay, so the thing on the right-hand side there, Donna was getting low engagement and she thought the algorithm was against her, right? It's what everyone says to me all the time. It's not just Donna. Like I used to think it when I first started, like this algorithm just hates me. Like it puts everyone else's rubbish content further and they get hundreds of reactions. I get one or two and one of them is my dad. Like this just doesn't like me. It's not putting my content anywhere. Why is it? But actually it's because your content is not very good, or it doesn't actually, because that's unfair, doesn't play the content game the way it's meant to be played. So I gave Donna this tip. On Google, if you go and type in the emotions wheel on Google, comes up with this psychology diagram thing. It's got basically all the core emotions that we relate to. Little hack, like put the emotion, pick an emotion on the outside of the wheel and put it in your title. Just by doing that, you can see she said here, my impressions mark was just over 500 on Monday. This one here got 7,300 just by switching out the headline. Your headline is everything when it comes to your content. And actually, it's the place, whenever I'm doing social media marketing audits, whenever the team are reviewing content inside of the academy, the only thing we tend to really look at is the headline. The headline's not very good. People aren't going to read it. They're not going to spend time. If you get your headlines right, actually, what comes beneath it doesn't really matter too much because you've already got the impression and the view. The views, the viral content comes from that stuff. The rest of it, like your story, is what then builds credibility. So headline, story builds credibility, call to action builds transaction. So that's our content structure: headline, story, call to action. That's the way that we work it. Your content is the way for you to be able to build relationships with your prospects. Never forget it. So what you need to be putting out there is the opportunity to go viral, so visibility, and then combine that with a little bit of credibility in there just to make sure that people understand how good you are and what you do. Remember, the two things that you need: people to know who you are and how great you are at what you do. You need to combine that to create an effective content strategy. And people are doing this time and time again. Like Zoe did it inside of our academy as well. She put a post out there and she was looking to raise finance for her property company. A post out there: pets are secret weapons, by the way. If you've got a pet, use your pet. They're like literally your best asset when it comes to going viral on LinkedIn right now. But 133,000 impressions, that ended up getting to 150,000 impressions. Just watch your short video, Zoe. Considerable experience with dogs and in considering investment opportunities. One post, one inbound lead, bada bing, bada boom, off we go. Same thing, time and time again. Sam does it. One post got put out. You can see here, I took the screenshot, 2 hours. Off the back of that one post: hey, Sam, just seen your post about social selling pipelines. Could you please send me some detail about the events? Inbound lead coming through. This is the same thing. Thanks to my recent increased LinkedIn visibility, I've landed a contract to run 2 masterclasses. Like at 3,500 with an organization I did not even know existed. This happens when you talk about the right stuff. Okay, really, really important for you to realize. And actually, the simplest thing to do is to start putting yourself in positions to get the best version of you out there on the internet. Like those 4 videos for me have generated more leads than anything that I've ever done. And they're such simple videos, right? How to get more views on your profile, how to create a great profile, how to get content like inbound leads, how to use LinkedIn for beginners. This is my little shameless plug, by the way. If you're on here right now, my YouTube channel is something that I'm really looking to grow. If you find any of this useful, if you go type in Chris Taylor online on YouTube and just like maybe like one of the videos, but more importantly, could you subscribe for me? Just because I know the content will help you if you're here, more in detail stuff coming, you're actually doing me a massive favor because it helps push my content further. So I'm doing this for free for you. I'd love it if you could support me in the right way. Now, this is me encouraging you to use YouTube, right? It's in combination with LinkedIn, okay? Like it's in combination with it. Use it. Like it's a platform which actually will generate you search traffic. So think about, this is an exercise for you all to do, right? Get a piece of paper out and write down every question that you ever get asked by a customer. Every question. If you get asked a question, if they're asking it, someone else will be. And then if it's something which you can create content around, record a video answering that question. Right? Simple. When you create the video, put it on here and let people find you via search. One of the things that I have done, and I think this is really fair, right, for me to say this to you, my offline activity has been as important as my online activity. So over the last 2 years, I've done either in-person, online, webinar, workshop, masterclass, over 250 presentations. My first one was horrendous, an absolute car crash. In fact, if you ever get bored enough, if you go onto my Instagram profile and scroll down, you can see my first ever video. I don't even blink. It is horrendous to watch. However, it's my first one. And if it makes you feel a little bit more confident that you're not as bad as me or weren't as bad as what I was, then hopefully it would encourage you to realize that you can get really good at this. Now, I've been practicing like these talks and giving content and getting out there for one of 2 reasons. One, I knew that if I got good at it, it would generate as business. And 2, it gave me exposure to other people's audiences. Now, part of your strategy that we will look to build together is understanding where you can get yourself out to be able to get that exposure and get that visibility. By going through those presentations, like I've spoken, this is a guess, right? Like this isn't an actual accurate number, but I spoke in front of like about 6 different 600 people audiences. Online, we normally have anything from 100 to 250 people that attend our workshop. So over the last 3 years, around 25,000 people. And I did it by making a commitment to myself to get out there. I felt so uncomfortable doing this, but by doing it, I gave myself the exposure that I needed to be remembered and for people to realize that I actually know what I'm talking about. And what it allowed me to do was to be able to document my journey. This was then where my content ideas came from. So all I did was then take photos of everywhere that I went. You can see some of the talks that I gave at the bottom there. So the one on the bottom left was an event called Expert Empires. The same one was that I spoke at Expert Empires again, which is that 3rd one on the bottom row. And on the right, that's a martial arts business mastery event, right? Another 300 people in there. I was scared to death doing them. And what I did was push myself to do it because I knew that way people would then start to follow me. I could then create content, especially when I was in my property company, that looked like this. Now, look on that one on the left-hand side, right? My objective with my content, so I know what my purpose of it is, was simply to raise finance, to raise investment. That was it. Now, I knew that if I wanted to raise finance and investment, I had to give people a reason to reach out to me. So in the property stuff on the left-hand side there, I said, look, 71 reservations generating £11,500 worth of revenue, £4,100 in profit, 3 JV partners. That if people are reading that, they're like, oh my God, this guy's actually doing it. And if I want to invest in Airbnb, I'm not seeing anyone else talk about it in the way that he does it. Like he's backing it up. Like I want to reach out to him. And this was the same thing when I had the Instagram business. I was putting out the following results that we were getting. With LinkedIn, you've already seen case studies like Jamie, like Sasha, like Donna. There's more and more coming in this presentation, by the way. But like, it's so evident that we're getting results. People want to work with you. So if you're not getting it already, if you're not getting those results already, like what we need to do is create, again, a part of your strategy which allows you to get the results so you can start talking about them. Winning with content is actually really simple when you think about it. First thing, Dipesh has actually put it in as like a note, right? All the questions the clients ask you. Like first step, identify what questions your target market need answering. That's your gold right there. And then use emotion to be able to connect. Use stories to be able to relate to your audience. With every bit of content, so an exercise that Sam does with all of our agency clients when it comes through to content, it's called content slither generation. So you write down in your, whatever it is that you do, all the key subjects on down the left-hand side of a page. And then, so let me give you an example. LinkedIn profiles is one of the content topics that we always talk about. With LinkedIn profiles, we can do one big video on it, but actually what we then do is put all the lines off it and we go, right, what about LinkedIn profiles is important? So a slither could be headlines. It could be the about section, featured section. It could be newsletters. It could be content. It could be call to actions. It could be anything. The graphic, your header image, your profile image. And there we can create little bits of content against each bit. And what we then do is with those content slithers, what's a question that a customer has asked us that relates to that topic, which would be helpful to them? We then pick an example that relates. So again, if it's LinkedIn profile and header images, we would then pick like a story to tell that relates to the header image. That content there would then be able to do pretty well. Just an exercise for you to do, right? There's loads for you to hear. And when you start doing that, you'll realize that people will start to thank you for it. An inbound occurs when you get that bit right. And this was that post that Sam did. She put out our sales process at the bottom here. And again, that guy, Thomas Froston, then messaged saying, look, we need to set up a pipeline, get in touch, let's do some business. Okay. So that's content. The third step is prospecting. Okay, so prospecting is around about outbound messaging. So we do this very differently to most people, right? We draft a message that pushes the wrong people away and attracts the right people. We're not looking for in-depth conversations, okay? What we're looking for is to get into our ideal clients' heads and help them realize that they need to work with us. For us, like we take our prospects on a journey, and I'm going to share that journey with you in a second. And what happens is when you have a conversion piece of content, which again, let me go into this for you now. We provide 4 big pieces of value, right? So we have our free content that goes out on LinkedIn. We then have YouTube videos that help people. We then have a lead magnet called the 100 Content Ideas Guide. And now, if you want that guide, by the way, if you've not got it already, just put 100 in the chat box and I'll get the team to send you the guide. And there's 100 content ideas that we give away as a lead magnet. And then we have a webinar as an example here, right? So people can come on, they can hear a bit about us, see what we're talking about, and bang, there we go, we're in. Now, this is the sort of message. Print screen it if you want it. It's there for you to print screen, right? This is here. Everyone's seen this message pretty much now. But like, look, I thought I'd just send a message to say hello and no expectation of any response. I know you're getting rammed with sales messages. Push away. I then direct people to a YouTube video into the Content Ideas Guide. Whether they click on it, totally up to them. Like, I'm too busy to have these conversations. What I'm looking to do is just get them into the beginning part of our process. The process then does all the work. So when it comes to connection, there's some key things for you to realize. Summarizing all of that up. Think about what you're already into searching for. Treat LinkedIn as the beginning part of your sales process. The rest of it I'm going to talk to you about in a second. Start taking notice of what stops you in your scroll. Big tip this. If you're scrolling on the newsfeed, and something stops you, like so it grabs your attention, 3 dots, click the ellipsis in the top right corner and save it. Then when you've got a bit of time, go back and just ask yourself, what was it that made me stop? What was it that grabbed my attention? There'll be something in that then you can use. Use the emotions wheel that I mentioned earlier and just have this in your head. People are not on social media to buy things. It is not Amazon. It's not Google. We're not searching to buy something. We're not in that mindset. We're on there for 2 reasons. 1, because we're like on there to generate business for ourselves or build our brands. Or 2, because we're bored. Normally the latter. We're normally picking up our phones because we're bored and we're scrolling. So what you need to do is put out content that either inspires, educates, or entertains. They're the three things that we're targeting. And as long as you never forget that, you'll always be in a good position. That's connection. Has connection all made sense? Thumbs up if it has. Is it being useful? And then from there, I know there's some questions coming out. I'll answer them at the end for now, just because of time. We're in a particular Q&A session at the end of today. But just thumbs up. Is it been good? Is it helpful? Has it made sense? Just let me know, just so I can actually grab some time to have a drink more later. Good stuff. Excellent. Okay. Let me get my breath back, right? I'm speaking so fast, trying to cram it all in. Part 3 is conversion, okay? How to generate consistent and sustainable opportunities, okay? I said to you this at the beginning. My job today is not to make you like me, right? It's not what the purpose of it is. It's to tell you the truth of what's working and why it's more importantly not working for you. People, in my opinion, waste so much time, and I spend hours like talking to people, trying to showcase to them if they just stop doing certain things, it would all click into gear, right? They create content which probably takes them half an hour. And again, this isn't, I'm not trying to be mean, right? I'm trying to help you, right? If you're creating content and no one engages, you know, the advice of if you just remain consistent, it will happen is nonsense. If you're consistently doing something badly, stop doing it. Make some changes, make it better, right? If you're creating content and no one's engaging, it's time to just take a step back, have a look at it and go, right, how can I change this up? Does my audience need to be bigger? If it needs to be bigger, am I better off spending my time network building rather than creating content right now? Obviously you are. Like, it's 100% right, okay? So this is the plan, the activity plan that we built for Sasha, that we need to build for you in the same way to be able to get this working. Lives, LinkedIn lives, right? If you're in creator mode on LinkedIn, you can run lives. Now, people are running lives to no one. And I'm saying, like, why? Like, you're not even collecting email addresses. It's absolutely ludicrous what you're doing. Stop wasting your time, right? Just because someone's told you it's a good idea doesn't mean that it actually is. So stop it if it's not working for you. You're sending messages and getting no responses. I've got an example of this in a second, right? People's inboxes are ridiculous right now. But if you're sending messages and getting and not link tracking, so you're not tracking how many link clicks you're getting, you can use bit.ly, bit.ly. It's free. Track your links, right? Make sure you understand that if you're sending messages with links in, if they're not getting clicked, it means they're not very good. So you need to change them up. You need to find something that's going to get a response. You've got a lead magnet and no one's downloading it. It's not because like they're not getting the link. It's because your lead magnet's not very good. We need to switch it up. We need to make it better. We need to make it so people actually want it. When I asked people if they wanted the content guide, and this doesn't mean I'm perfect at this, by the way, we had 40 people say yes to it or type in the number 100, right? People want it. So we need to think about for you, and this is what we spend lots of time working with people on, like, what is it that people want? Then we create that. And we spend our time doing the thing that's going to get results. And this is a big one. Let me know if you ever heard this, by the way. Like, you get comments, maybe you've done a workshop or you've spoken to someone, like, you're so good at what you do. Like, the people say that to you, but then they don't spend anything with you. Let me know. Just say yes if that's ever happened to you. It happened to me all the time when I used to butcher this at the beginning. But like, it's so frustrating because you're sitting there. It's like, well, if I'm so good, why aren't you working with me? Like, what have I done that's made you push away? I pushed you away. That's not helped you make that decision. Something that I used to hear all the time. And I have no like qualms around how your work ethic, right? You're here today. You've spent an hour to me waffle on, right? You obviously work hard and you're committed, but what people don't realize is they're just putting their effort into the wrong places. And this is this was Nick's inbox. Nick, I pinched this from Slack when you put it in there this morning. But like, you can see here, this is today, like 2:53 a.m., 4:29 a.m., 7:01 a.m., 7:14, 7:14 a.m. again, 8:45, 9:37, 9. All of these messages, they're either done by automated robots or people thinking that it's going to get a response. Listen, right? This is the truth. People are being bombarded by messages. So if you're sending pointless nonsense, don't expect a response. What you need to think about is, and this is a top tip, look at there, right? What would need to be in the first 2 lines of this message to get someone to open it? I guarantee you've never thought of that before, right? In this list here of names, is there something in that first line that would make you click into the message? You don't realize the importance of the first 2 lines of your outbound messaging. If it's on point and if it's really working, bang, you're going to get the attention of someone to at least click into it. If you don't, you're going to miss out on opportunity. Just something to think about, right? Think about it when you're doing your activity. What impression do you leave? And when I speak to people about this, like, it all comes down to the fact, and this is the big bit, right? This is the bit, get ready to screenshot it, right? This is the thing that everyone needs, most people miss, is a process, okay? This is what in marketing we spend the majority of our time building for people, okay? So on the left-hand side, you've got connection. That's your LinkedIn activity. You then have control, which is about collecting data and promoting your services. Newsflash, we're not about promoting services on social. You are not selling on social media. Unless you're running ads to direct sales, it will not work. If you're doing organic, it's about building an audience and naturally nurturing through to the point that you can collect data. Once you've got the data, you can promote to people's inboxes or do a workshop like this and then promote, because you earn the right to be able to do so. This process here is then all statistic driven. I know that I get 1,000 invites a week at a LinkedIn event, okay? 1,000 invites normally means that 10% will register. So that's 100 people. Now it means that, again, not every time, it's just rough numbers for now, but like if I can get 10% of people to register for a Zoom, 50% of those people I can expect to show up. So out of every 100, I get 50 registrations. Out of every 50 registrations that I get, I'll get a minimum of a 10% conversion. It's 5 sales. If I ever hit underneath those targets, I know that something's wrong. And actually, if it's, let's just take an example. Let's say I get 50 people showing up and only 2 people buy. I know that the way that I've delivered the presentation or the way that I've done the pitch or the way that I've actually spoke about the product isn't right. So I don't have to change anything else. I just look at those specific things and I can spend my time amending those things. What lots of people I see do is run a presentation, run it once, it doesn't work, so then recreate a whole new presentation and they get it wrong again. And then they do that 2 times or 3 times, then they go, webinars don't work for me, and they never run them again. Again, reality is nothing actually probably wrong with your presentation. There'll be little things that compound all together that make the difference. And the best way to do, like, explain it to you is to show you, right? So Donna is someone that works with us very closely inside of our academy. She's a leadership consultant for in-house lawyers. And like you, I'm sure, had elements of that process in place, okay? Donna had worked with the marketing people before, but hadn't seen the results. She kept paying more money and getting the same advice. Well, you need to niche down. You need to just send more messages. You need to post more content. You need to do this funnel, or you need to do that funnel. And she literally just got to a point where she didn't trust anyone. And so what I did was, on that half-an-hour call, I just showed her what we would do and how it's had results with the people. So it was really easy for her to make the decision. And so what we did was identify the gaps. And we've noted all of these down. You can see here, some of these you'll relate to, but the biggest ones was Donna didn't have a conversion piece of content in place. So she was missing out opportunity. She had people ready to buy from her in her LinkedIn network. But because she had no way of moving someone off of the platform to the point where she could earn the right to sell to them, unfortunately, it never worked. She was sending direct messages, like trying to sell one-to-one time rather than starting to drive traffic. And when I looked at her content, like, she wasn't showing off. Like, Donna is passionate. Like, she is so like energy high with what she does. She's so confident, but like, she wasn't showing that. And actually, that was the thing that her people, the people that she was trying to do business with, needed to see. And so what we wanted to do was build out a process that was going to work for her. She used our 6-week plan. So this is like step by step what we work through in the academy. Like, you just tick it off as you go through. There's a few little sneak peeks for you there. And we worked through the plan. The plan was that process that I showed you before. She had those elements in place. She had a LinkedIn profile. She was building a network. She had a message and she had an email magnet, but no one was downloading it. No one was downloading the lead magnet. What I said to her was, over the next 6 weeks, we're going to build that process out. So we're going to go from the orange boxes to the green boxes. 6 weeks. It takes 2 weeks to put it all together, 4 weeks to run it, an hour, like to 2 hours every week, focusing in on building this process out. 15 minutes a day, you're good to go. She committed to us. She did it. On the right-hand side, she had everything reviewed. So as part of our academy, we review everything that you do, from profiles to messages to content to PowerPoints to webinar delivery, anything, we'll review it. We helped her craft the message. We mapped out that conversion piece of content. So I gave her and told her the structure to use for her webinar, very similar to what you're seeing here today. She used our email campaign templates, put them into her business. We changed the lead magnet up. I can't remember what it was exactly, but no one was downloading the first one. It was like the 5 mistakes that in-house lawyers make or something like that. People weren't downloading it. We switched it to like the complete guide to something. And again, it's not a huge amount of downloads, but she'll probably get anything between 10 to 15 downloads a week, which again, just builds her list over time. And the most important thing is I told her, like, for the next 6 weeks, stop doing everything else, implement this process and commit to us and it will work. That was the only thing. If you're going to work with us, you commit. And from there, we can actually help you. And as a result of following that 6-week plan, she got that process in place. She generated £6,500 or £6,200 in sales within 3 hours of her workshop. She'd set her date for the next one, right? So she'd set the date for the next one. And we knew from watching the replay what she did well and where she could improve. These were the messages that she sent in November. So you can see 80 people registered, 33 attended, 2 people have booked the application. I ran the session. And then here you can see, if I just move on, I just signed up 2 people for my workshop on Wednesday, 2 more booked after lunch, and then we all celebrated. We actually jumped onto Zoom on the Friday night and just had a drink. Joe Britton hosted it for us. And so we set the date for the next one, did the changes, and you can see here, oh my God, just ran my masterclass again to my JV partner, and all 5 spaces were booked before I finished. Changed from 10 to 5 to create more scarcity. It worked. Right? This stuff isn't difficult. It's relatively simple. And this is just a perfect example of how it works for us, right? So I sent my outbound messages, so you can see how I send them to Caroline, lady called Caroline, and she ignored them. She ignored them for around about 30 odd days. And I got this message that you can see here. Hope you're well. Can you tell me a little bit more about the Social Selling Academy you're advertising your profile? Blah, blah, blah. So straight away, because of the inbound, now I don't know if she watched a YouTube video, I don't know if she did anything, right? But she responded to my message 30 odd days later. So I dropped a message back around 3 hours later, just saw your message, what's the best email number to get you on? We then jumped onto a Zoom call. I just gave her a half an hour of my time talking through kind of like her strategy, the same call that I spoke about at the beginning of today, which I offered to you all, which I'll be offering at the end. Sounds good if you're free now. The important thing is I redirected her back to the webinar, to the workshop, because there was no point me like explaining everything that we do if she wasn't interested. So I said, look, go and spend some time, commit, spend your time to watching it. And if it's right for you, then there's the link because I know I can help you to be able to purchase. Hi, Chris, love the webinar. That was 3 hours later. Love the webinar, signed up, and we're in. I didn't have to do much. A half an hour call, get her to watch the workshop replay, allowed her to make the decision if she wanted to work with us or not. The process allowed everything from start to finish to work. And I just rely on it. I don't do anything else. I just stick to the process. And it's not a one-off this, like it happens every week inside of the Academy. 21 members in mentoring team now, 6K package to a 35K deal. Like people are running these all the time. Like the results are there. Tony, 20 sewed up, 19, 10 complimentary coaching calls, 2 spots were taken. This one here launched her academy, which is now evergreen, right? She got 6 members signed up, which beats the target of I set myself of 5. Fred Copestake, 70 attended, 7 calls booked, 10% conversion. We hit the number. Like every Monday we sit here and we review and we look at what's working, what isn't working, where we can improve. And from there, we're able to get the results that we know that we're looking for, right? And again, it's the same thing. So to finish off conversion, some tips for you. I'm not going to read them out. They're there for you to be able to read. But the most important one, is don't guess your way to success. Like when you have a process in place, you remove all the guessing and you let the numbers dictate what changes you make. That's it. Like if you fill out the spreadsheet, we get people to fill in statistics spreadsheets for when they've run their workshops or their campaigns. We look at the stats and we'll tell you what you've done right and where you've done wrong. The reality and the truth of all of it is that if you want to start getting leads from this platform, you don't need to spend all your time posting content. You don't need to spend any time worrying about the algorithm because it's irrelevant when you understand kind of like the basics of how social works. All you need is a product that solves a problem, packaged in a way that stands out and people relate to it. You need a process in place, the most important thing that nurtures people so you know what's working and what isn't. Then you need that activity and promotion plan to start building that audience and traffic consistently. Like I know how passionate people are when it comes to this stuff, right? I know like what you need to do to be able to get this working. It's just we need the time to be able to work together on it. So what I want to do, I've got the time at the end to answer questions. I'm bang on time, which is great. I just want to talk to you about the Social Selling Academy. Now, you can't buy this. Like, it's not something I'm going to give you a link. I'm just going to talk you through how it works and give you a link at the end to be able to book a call in. And we'll go through the strategy call. And if it's right for you, great. If it's not, then also that's totally fine. Okay. So we used to run these in person. We've taught hundreds and hundreds of people now kind of how this works. And we used to do it in person. When COVID hit, we moved it online. Together, we've built out roadmaps, right, for you to follow, just step-by-step processes for you to follow. And then you work with us to get feedback on everything that you do. So we take you through product offering. We give you the message. So we work with you about how the message works to get attention. We pick a campaign type that's best for you. So we design that campaign for you. And then together, we create that activity plan for you to be able to hit your desired objectives. So it's an online learning platform, online course with accountability, mentorship that we go through it. This is how it works. The thing that I showed you at the beginning is our framework. We're going to put this into your business. So what happens is you come in, you pick a campaign type, which I'll show you in a second, and then you work through it. Every step of the way, you send us your work and we will give you feedback. So from clarity to content, to connection, to control, to conversion, to close, 6 weeks, and we implement it through. We spend time at the front end going through a call and we go through the campaign types that are going to be right for you. I'm going to give you a hint now. On the right-hand side is conversion campaigns. That's where you're most likely going to go, an event or an added value campaign. These are the two that are working the best right now. You may be a business that might work for the other 5 that are there, but we'll have that conversation on those 30-minute calls at the end to be able to work it out. But we pick the right campaign type, and then we design that process for you. So it's slightly different depending on which angle you take. But you have the step-by-step plan that I showed you before with videos to watch for you to be able to go through. You can see the tick boxes here. When you tick them off, you then send the work in. And what happens is you can read here, I'm hoping, but like you can see, I've just set up a Zoom meeting, I need some help. Or we just did a webinar and the recording as a speaker view. Can you help us? Because someone look at my LinkedIn newsletter, we will look at that. Who's viewed your product? About to run my second webinar and numbers are low. What do I do? Would someone be able to review my webinar, please? So you send it in and we will review it and give you feedback back on it. And by doing that, it gives you the ability to generate the results like Joe did and like everyone else that I've spoken about in this workshop, right? The results are there time and time again for you to be able to work through. As long as you can commit to just following our process, this will work for you. And again, what I want to reiterate is if you can commit to us, we will be able to help you through it. If you don't commit, it won't work. So the Academy is a 12-month program. You work with us for that 12 months, and every single month we're moving you forward. You have the initial 6 weeks that you work through, and then we're always reviewing your work as you go. We're going to hold your hand working through all of this stuff. I'm going to give you guidance around your sales process, your offer, your funnel, your content, your campaigns. Every Monday, we have accountability calls and training sessions. So we come together, we set our targets and we work. And then every week, you've got to give us the update of what you're doing. The people that succeed are the ones that come to those weekly sessions. If you don't come to them, you'll fail. We need you to be accountable to this stuff. If you're not going to do it, there is no point coming a part of it. We'll give you all the templates that you need. So you get all my slide structures, you get everything. And then every month we run a clarity group workshop. So we go through product, offer and message and get really, really clear to make sure that every single month you're staying on top of all of this stuff. Okay. Every 2 weeks, we run a challenge. And from that point, we're going to force you through this as we move through. Now, all of that, right, all of that training, everything that I've spoken about, we've made access to literally everyone. There's no big upfront payments or anything. It's 150 quid a month for the year that you work with us, right? So we don't take the money up front. It's cash flow for you. Like we keep it low. We're going to help you implement this process into your business and support you every single step of the way with it. We do that via Slack. There's a big community of us that are in there every day. We're sharing ideas. And whether it's your profiles, whether it's your messages, campaigns, landing pages, lead magnets, content, you send it in to us and we'll give you direct feedback on it. Like we've decided to do this, one, because it's a great business opportunity for us to help people, but because we're fed up with people moaning about saying these platforms don't work. They do work. You're here now and it's proof that it works. You just need to implement this into your own business, okay? And again, if you just follow like what we say, you will be leaving reviews like this, like so many have. And if you're ever worried about anything, go onto LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, go search our names. It's there for you to be able to see plain as day. And Donna left this on my profile back in November. Like, for the first time in 3 years, I feel like I'm in control of my business. Just do what this man says. Just follow the advice. It is really, really simple. Okay. So I'm going to go into the Q&A section at the end. And the calls are available over the next few days. We're doing them, I think it's until Tuesday. There's a QR code there that you can just, if you pick up your phone and scan, or you can go to pipeline44.com/apply. That would allow you to book in that free 30-minute call with me. It comes through to my diary. You'll be speaking to me and we'll be working through, like I said at the beginning, your message, your current process, and creating you a bit of a plan for you to follow. Now, if the academy's right for you at the end, great, we'll work together. If it isn't, we'll set you away with a couple of actions, and then you may come back to us when it is right for you. That's the only thing we're going to do. Is that QR code there. There's a couple of questions that you'll need to answer to be able to book in your call. It's just so I can basically give you as much advice as I can. So it allows me to do some research. That's the academy again. Again, it's all there for you. I don't need to spend much more time on it. You know how it works by now, I hope. It's very simple. £150 a month for the year. For those of you that are just asked, again, it's pipeline44.com/apply. And then what I'm also doing for the first 5 people that book a call and then join us on the academy, you're also going to get a one-to-one clarity call with me. So it's for the first 5 people. There's a deadline with all of this stuff, as there always is. But for the first 5 people that book your call in, and it is right for you when you join, we will spend 30 minutes together, just like I did with Jamie back then. What I did, and we'll go through that one-to-one clarity session, working it out. This is on top of this introductory call. So that's there for the first 5 people. I said I was doing something special today. That's what it is. And there's the QR code to be able to get it. So pipeline44.com/apply. The QR code is there for you to be able to use. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to open up the Q&A and just make sure that if I've got any questions, I've answered them. So I've answered the question around the recording. Yes. No, we don't take upfront money. It's just £150 a month. At the end of the 12 months, it just becomes a monthly subscription. So you can stay with us for the support that what most people do, or you can end your contract there at that point in time. Cool, that's just people answering the questions at the beginning. Has that been helpful, by the way? Let me know. Has this been useful? Has it been something worth coming to? Any feedback is good feedback. I'd really appreciate it. Can you run events from company page, or should it be employee-led? And you can run them from a company page, but I would run them from your personal profile to maximize reach. There we go. What is the best time of day to post your business idea on LinkedIn? So, I mean, do you think content here? If it's posting content, I would say between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. or between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. Best times. LinkedIn connection limit, I think, is at 30,000 now. It should be there. Could you repeat the 3 types of content to post? So it's education, inspiration, and entertainment. They're the 3. Should I be posting on my company page and resharing on personal? Directly from personal, with potentially resharing relevant content onto your company page. If I'm a co-founder of the business, should I be promoting my business page, promote my business from my own LinkedIn page? Your own LinkedIn profile, Mariam, without a shadow of a doubt. Are you supporting with creating content for LinkedIn? Yes, we give people ideas all the time. If people struggling, they literally just come to us and say, I'm struggling for content. What do I post? We'll give them some ideas, or at least probe them. I need someone to do these things for me. No problem, Romika. If you do, we have the agency service as well. And if you book a call in, we can have the conversation around that also. Do you also other marketing services we do? Content creation, event management, prospecting, network growth. We do it all. That is every single question answered, I'm pretty sure. I think. It is. We're all good. Okay. So those calls are disappearing quick. Brilliant stuff. Charlie, Kelsey, Jeremy, Judy, Catherine, excellent stuff. Good. I say I'll be here to answer any questions that you've got. The QR code is there for those of you that are still wanting to book a call in. If you have any questions, obviously give me a shout, drop me a message on LinkedIn. I'm here to answer anything that you've got. I'm here to help. Use me. I love sharing my advice. I love answering your questions. And for those of you that are subscribed to my YouTube channel, I appreciate it a lot. I'm hoping to get more and more content out there this week as well. For those of you that have booked your calls in, I look forward to speaking to you, and I will see you all on the next workshop. Thank you so much for coming. I'll see you all very, very soon. Peace.